There are music festivals all over the world that Travis Scott could have learned from when planning his festival. As you all know by now, things got out of control during the Astroworld Festival, and a lot of that has to do with poor planning leading up to the event. I'm your host, Johnny Rogers, and today on I.O. we're going to be breaking down the top 10 reasons Travis Scott's Astroworld Festival was a disaster. But first, if you happen to be new here and you don't want to miss another video, make sure you tap that subscribe button. And with that out of the way, let's begin. Coming in at number 10, not a festival. Typically when you go to a music festival, you're going to walk around and see multiple stages or venues that have artists of all levels and genres. This isn't done by accident. This is actually planned so that fans are given choice and therefore will be split between stages. However, whenever you make the focus of your festival, and by focus I mean theme, all Travis Scott, sure, it might be great for his ego, but logistically this is a nightmare. If you go to Astroworld, of course you're going to want to see Travis Scott, and this is why there were 50,000 people all jammed into one area. However, if he had, let's say, Cardi B or someone else performing on another stage around the same time of his set, this could have split up the crowd a lot more. I'm sure there would still be lots of people, but it wouldn't have been this extreme. However, this does lead me to my next point. Coming in number 9, poor planning. According to the fire chief, they say that Energy Park, where this event was hosted, could have held up to 200,000 people, but that it was limited to just 50,000. So even in knowing what the venue could hold and what their capacity was, they still failed to properly organize. Reza Germani, a veteran Los Angeles festival promoter, spoke about the importance of dividing crowds between stages and said, "If you've got favorable artists on different stages at the same time, then the crowd will be split. You've got to have secondary options for stages and other talent." And according to the Washington Post, the Astroworld organizers only filed some plans on what they were doing just days before the festival started. In their filing, they also included a one-page security plan and said that 26 police officers were assigned to do crowd control and 60 were assigned to do traffic control. However, after the event, local police claimed that there were actually 528 Houston police officers in attendance and more than 750 security guards. So more than enough manpower and really just no proper plan put in place. Coming in at number 8, no emergency exits. This was already a tragedy, but man, could it have been so much worse. People were so jammed in together that anyone who passed out had to be crowd surfed out of there. That is no way to handle someone who had just gone unconscious. I understand that that's what they had to do because there truly was no other option available to them, but damn is it sad to watch. This sort of branches off of the point of poor planning, but why weren't there more barriers to split the crowd in case of emergencies? There should have been even more clear paths made in case EMTs had to help someone. What's worse is that everyone and their mother knows Travis Scott concerts are dangerous, so if you know what you're getting into, why not prepare or over-prepare for the worst case scenario? Which we'll get to more of in my next point, but I really think this tragedy is going to force festivals and venues to be more on top of crowd control, kind of like a lifeguard who just watches for people that are being knocked down. Coming in at number 7, the operation plan. Despite having a 56-page event operations plan for the Astroworld Festival, they neglected to prepare for things such as crowd surges. The plan had protocols for other dangerous scenarios such as severe weather, an active shooter, or bomb threats, but nothing to prepare themselves for what ended up taking place. What's more bizarre is that in the plan, they even have a section that talks about the possibility of a riot. However, they only briefly touch on how this should be taken seriously, but provide no protocol for when this occurs. In the plan, it says, "In any situation where large groups of people are gathering, there is the potential for a civil disturbance/riot that can present a grave risk to the safety and security of employees and guests. The key in properly dealing with this type of scenario is proper management of the crowd from the minute the doors open. Crowd management techniques will be employed to identify potentially dangerous crowd behavior in its early stages in an effort to prevent a civil disturbance/riot." However, now authorities are investigating if any of this was followed at all. Coming number 6, no staff radio. Another big reason for this event becoming a disaster is the lack of accessible communication. According to Mary Langton, who is the president of the Houston Professional Firefighters Association, she said that firefighters tried to obtain a radio from the festival organizers to just have direct contact with them, but instead they were just given a list of phone numbers. This list of cell phone numbers was meant to be used in the event of an emergency, but the problem with that is lines become busy, signals can be bad in areas, or perhaps the person you're trying to reach just doesn't hear their cell phone. So many issues with this line of communication at an event. If radios were being used instead, they could have at least had a direct line to the people running the show and shut things down the moment an ambulance was trying to make its way through the crowd. Coming number 5, Overworked Medics. A woman named Madeline Eskins, who attended the concert and confirmed with the press that she was an ICU nurse, said that after she was being crushed by the crowd near the front of the stage, she fell unconscious. She then apparently was crowd surfed out of the packed area and woke up with a water bottle in her lap and no clue as to what just happened. As she looked around, she claims to have witnessed other people being carried out with their eyes rolled back back and bleeding from their nose and mouth. A security guard then even asked her to help them resuscitate other people who had been pulled out of the crowd as well. She goes on to say in a post about the event, "Some of these medical staff have little to no experience with CPR, didn't know how to check a pulse, carotid, or femoral." She said some people who had pulses were getting unneeded CPR, but that there weren't enough people to do CPR on individuals that were actually pulseless, adding, "The medical staff didn't have the tools to do their jobs, and despite the crowd around us trying to get someone to stop the concert, they just kept going," even though Travis acknowledged that someone in the crowd needed an ambulance. In at number 4, team breakdown. My heart really does go out to those poor EMTs that had to continuously work on trying to revive people in this chaos and by themselves in most situations. Another TikTok user who claimed to be a medic at the event said that he was on his way to assist another medic, but he had to stop and save another concert goer who had also fallen unconscious. And this kept happening again and again to medics who were just trying to work in teams because so many people were running up to them requiring assistance. Anyone who has performed CPR knows that it gets tiring, so that's why there should always be a team of at least 2 people who can then switch back and forth and really assist each other in saving a life. But that wasn't an option at this moment, and now we are seeing the tragic results. Coming in at number 3, ignoring the signs. So my question is that after witnessing all of this chaos and seeing an ambulance drive through the crowd of his festival, all of those people were there to see him perform. So in a few words, Travis could have easily controlled that entire crowd and calmed things down. He even stopped the show a few times, noticing when someone had passed out, but I just don't get how you can see that happen and then go on to tell people who want the show to stop that, quote, "You know why you came here." He then told the crowd that he wanted them to make the ground shake, which must have just been the most terrifying thing in the world if you've been knocked down on the ground and you can't get back up. There were also so many horrible videos of people being carried out of the crowd, and meanwhile Travis is just doing the robot up on a platform like nothing is wrong. Coming in number 2, the insurance policy. According to a report from TMZ, NRG Park, which is the venue that hosted Astroworld, only has an insurance policy totaling $26 million, which is nowhere near what they're going to need in order to pay for the hundreds of injuries and what they owe to the families of the deceased. Within the policy, it provides $1 million for primary coverage, and then it has a $25 million umbrella attached. But like I said, with more than 300 injured and 8 people confirmed to have lost their lives, the damage could be in the hundreds of millions of dollars. And when the policy can't cover it, the venue has to fork over anything above that limit. That being said, hopefully between Live Nation and Travis Scott himself, they have other insurance policies to cover this, because if this all ends up falling onto the venue, it could be disastrous for their business. Coming in at number 1 spot, words matter. Alec Baldwin's daughter Ireland tried to defend Travis Scott against the amount of backlash that he was getting from this tragedy. She blamed misinformation on him being wrongly accused of inciting a riot. However, she goes from saying that no one should get hurt listening to live music and then tries to say that Travis shouldn't be at all responsible when people get hurt listening to his music. I mean, he literally has lyrics that talk about people getting hurt at his shows. In the song Stargazing, he says in one verse, "Got new money, got new problems, got new enemies. When you make it to the top, that's the amenities. Packing out Toyota like I'm in the league, and it ain't a mosh pit if ain't no injuries. I got him stage diving out the nosebleeds." Plus, add to that him instructing the crowd to make the ground shake, knowing people had passed out, and then telling them you know why you came here when asked to stop. Either way, guys, that has been the top 10 reasons Travis Scott's Astroworld Festival was a disaster. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, don't forget to drop us a comment down below with your thoughts. But for now, I've been your host, Johnny Rogers, and until next time, stay classy, YouTube, or at least try.